Everyone thinks that they have the formula to life, the formula to live the best, to change the world. My formula, my formula, my formula. Except we don't want to accept that other people have different formulas. And therefore, in order to maybe find that correct formula, you have to allow your formula to maybe be subjected to other formulas and maybe even add some new variables into your equation. I grew up in Kirkland, 2 parents in the household, still together. I'm very, very blessed. My father being an immigrant from St. Kitts, and my mother is adopted by a Caucasian family from up north. So even though she's only half white, who was adopted, so my family tree and my lineage is very, very complex, to say the least. Family, it doesn't matter that we don't look the same, we don't share the same blood. Family is about more than just sharing blood. And then on my father's side, being from the islands and learning about the hardships that he had to face there, and when you go and you visit, you just see the difference in lifestyle and the difference in family structures, and you understand that over here in Montreal, here in the West, how fortunate you are just to have 2 parents in the home. How fortunate you are to have running water. Very, very, very simple things that we take for granted every single day, that we can, it only takes a moment and we're no longer here. That all it takes, and we get bogged down in the minutia of the things in our lives, which, by the way, the issues that we are having, if we compare it to some other places in the world, comparatively, it's not even close. And we've been blessed with so much abundance that abundance can actually be a curse, because it clouds you from actually appreciating the things that abundance simply can give you. Peace of mind, family, friends. Those are things that an abundance of riches and objects and prestige just simply can't give you. When I was in high school, I'll never forget this. We were doing our Terry Fox walk, which I'm sure you remember, the Terry Fox walk, and now we were walking. And I remember someone saying to me, you're the whitest black guy I know. Now, before we even get into that statement, white and black are not races, right? They're simply shades, they're pigmentations of the skin. And we've actually managed to completely identify people's lineage just simply based on their skin color, which it doesn't make any sense. To call someone black or white does not describe anything about them, because if you say black, you're actually associating it with what? You're associating it necessarily with Africa. But there are white Africans. So if you see a white person, you're not thinking that they're from Africa, or you're not thinking that there's a white person in Mexico or in Uganda, because it happens. And that's because we've become indoctrinated, and in the school system that we're taught black, white, and associate those colors with locations and with traits. So now I'm getting to that statement. So I asked the person because I wanted to know, because I knew where it was going, because I've gotten it for most of my life. So I said, why am I the whitest black person that you know? She said, well, because you're smart, you're really nice, and you do well in school. So I stopped her there. So I said, but this is the thing, right? You have to understand that it's not her fault for saying that, because the media, society, schooling, they don't actually educate you on these things, because they try to bog it down to, like I said, a simple thing of black and white. So she didn't understand what she was saying, because how could she understand? Because all she sees is the black people in the rap videos and the movies, and they talk a certain way and they sag their pants, and because they've fetishized black culture, I don't even want to call it black culture, because what is black culture? I will call it the westernized, the fetishization of the lifestyle of dark-skinned Americans. That's what it really is, and it's a fetishization of it, of the rap game and the drug game. So basically, I told her, I said, so basically the traits that are associated with being white are nice, good in school, and well-spoken. And I said, so basically I would be black if I didn't do well in school, if I wasn't a nice guy, and I wasn't well-spoken. She said, no, that's not what I meant. I said, no, I understand that's not what you meant, but that's what you said. And you don't understand that is what you said. And one of my friends had to kind of pull me away because I got very upset, because to say something like that, unfortunately, it shows a lack of understanding that your identity is not based off of attributes, off of a checklist for anyone, anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're from. Your attributes are not some grocery list of things that you need to check off. That's just not how it works. Individuals are individuals. And to basically get caught up in groupthink, believing that because you don't think a certain way or act a certain way, you're not this, that's the danger of being caught up in identity politics, is that it's actually not about identity. It's about taking away your identity to fit into a cluster of mindsets that are single-minded. I was a very, very hyper, still am, but back then, because I have ADHD, which it seems like everybody these days has, but I was extremely, extremely hyper. So I was a difficult child because I couldn't sleep. I was just always running on 120% energy. So, it was very tough for my parents to kind of rein me in. They had to put me in a lot of activities, but because I didn't focus well, it was very, very difficult for me to, do any activity. Put me in soccer and I'd get lost. You put me in this and I'd get lost. So my parents thought, okay, he needs something that's going to be difficult and it's going to discipline him. So they put me in martial arts. And at 5 years old, Kyokushin Karate. Shout out to Sensei John, Shihan John now. And he was such a huge mentor in my life, because if you've ever done martial arts, especially if you're at a really good school, listen, it's no games. It's, you do what's told. It's hard. It's physical. You're getting hit. You're getting beat up. Sometimes you get embarrassed because you lose in a fight or anything like that. And it teaches you humility, because, with great power comes great responsibility. And just because you start to get stronger and you start to have more confidence in your physical ability and your physical stature, that was something that our teacher always, Shihan always prefaced. He always said that you only use it for self-defense. So that's the thing, that you only use it when it's completely necessary. And those 13 years, all of those tools and trainings that I learned throughout my childhood, from 5 years old, 5-year-old boy to an 18, 19-year-old man, have stuck with me in its entirety, about, not giving up through hardship, applying yourself, and truly having belief in yourself at all times, no matter what the circumstance is. The reason that I started my podcast, it's very interesting that how much it's transitioned from where it was to what it is now. So when I started it, I actually had a co-host. So this was back in January of 2019. I went to CUTV and they had a sound room. My dad always used to say this to me. I love this quote. It's, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And that's because you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk. So we were like, you know what? We need to start bringing in other people and hearing their perspectives. And ever since then, I wanted to keep that format of just bringing in people to interview, because that's when we began doing that. And what we learned from different people, that's what completely changed the podcast. When we're able to sit down with people, and now it's just me, when I can sit down with someone from a completely different walk of life, age, race, occupational background, anything, because no matter how you look from like the outside, or how many similarities you truly believe you may have with someone, we're all unique. Every single person in the world, even we're talking about every single human being ever born, there's never been someone like you or me ever in human history. So that means that there's no one's perspective that is exactly the same on anything. And I thought that if I could share people's either their struggles and what they've had to overcome in their lives, or what their goals and accomplishments are and how they've been able to attain or reach those goals and accomplishments, I thought that would be the best way to continue the podcast in that way. And that's been what I've been trying to focus on right now, is to continue to bring these various stories from people into the public. Justin Turin, the one that was about the world's longest triathlon, he was the second guest that I ever had. He wanted to raise $10,000 for children's hospitals, and he started a GoFundMe. And the reason that he wanted to do it, because I asked him point blank, I said, so do you want to send like a world record? Is that what you want to do? Do you want to set a world record? Is that the reason, one of the reasons that you want to do this? And the first thing he said, very mild-mannered guy, speaks very, very quietly, so humble, says, I don't want to do this for me. I'm doing this for all the children, who are sick. And his brother is unfortunately one of those children who is in the hospital constantly due to health issues. And he turned that into motivation to therefore pursue this goal of raising $10,000. In the word activism, the first three letters in activism is ACT. So a lot of times it's an act. It's for social media. It's to let people know, hey, I'm doing all of this stuff. Look at me. But him, you could feel it right away. And it was a wake-up call for myself to say, you know what, your ego needs to be put in check when it comes to this. This was early on in the podcast. And that was when I realized that the podcast should not just be about me and my beliefs and me talking all the time. That it's people like him. It's people, your everyday person who's doing something amazing in their lives that can express a story and can teach people something that, I simply can't teach by regurgitating my mindset. Getting 30 different people gives you 30 different perspectives and 30 different lessons that you could learn.